Yo, what's up? This is your boy Postman, and you tuned in to Post in the Diary Room. Yeah, man, don't be alarmed by the new, I don't know, background, venue, whatever. You know what time it is. So, yeah, man, whatever it is that we're going through, whatever it is that we're doing, shouldn't mess with whatever it is that we're trying to do here on Post in the Diary Room. So, without wasting any more time, yeah, this is an album that comes after the release of Umkhele that came in 2018. And he also released Umsebenzi, which was an EP. And I think coming into this album, he's been active regarding like a lot of features that he's done. So coming into this album, he obviously had a lot of momentum. And this is the body, and it's called Isibuko. The album obviously opens up with Tiko, which forms as a prayer because of the piano keys. The piano keys in the song give it its own grand piano moment. And Ndozom Keys, it also comes into the fold and harmonizes. And she prays to God also to more or less reaffirm her worthiness to God by using these powerful vocal progressions that actually stand out with the song and that complement the song. So Ubuhle Bendala has these fast beating drums that are beating at a frantic pace, and Sjava takes back into memory lane and stresses and cries about going back home and just touching base with the ancestors. And he also describes its importance. He also braces an introspective hat on the song Ube Ngangazi and uses third person narration to share the story of this woman who lost her virginity and got impregnated. And he's basically giving light to the amount of men that are not actually taking responsibility for their actions. They just get women pregnant and then just flee and just run away. So this could be also his version of Brenda's Got a Baby. So the drums obviously take center stage on time, and the old school feel is evident because it carries out the significance of the song being an actual pop song. And Amapigo has these sparkling percussion hits that reach the back of the head, essentially. And the lock drum is the main character in this song, though Sjava makes a silly reference of girls being easily convinced by Summer Walker. And he also talks about how these girls would just like practice the things that Summer Walker talks about in her music. He also lets us aware that he's not into that energy. And this song also plays as a warning to lovers that are in limbo, in a sense, like their love is in limbo. And Saudi also came through to add the continuation to this song, and he also more or less carried out the theme of the song and didn't more or less shy away. Baga is easily one of the best songs in this album because Java seems to thrive whenever he showcases his African trap movement lineage, because you've also heard Isipamu as well as Gijima on Umkhele, and they have these hi-hats and 808s, like a trap beat. Basically, he actually thrives in trap beat. Then he also hands out the invitation of relatability and also opens up about his imposter syndrome at the very same time. And he also shows or raises awareness about like several mental health illnesses that are actually serious and his listeners are actually going through at the same time. So this is like a stance that he's taking to just let his listeners know that I'm actually with you throughout these mental illnesses, and I hope that my music heals because I am also going through some of the things that you guys are going through. So it's a form of showing solidarity with his fans and his listeners at large because he wants to heal people, particularly with this album, because I think the overall theme of this album is just to heal. Country texture on grounding with the strings actually helps us understand his mother's outcry as she tells him that, hey, oh boy, I actually want you to actually settle down and give me grandkids. And he also mentions that he hopes to become a better person than his father ever was. Maybe perhaps to his mother, towards his mother, he wants to be a better man than his father ever was, and maybe perhaps be present, and also essentially make his mother proud, because I think every guy out there wants to make their mother proud because mothers are usually supportive of the boys. Java actually makes use of a corny vocal approach on the song My Life. I think it was just maybe to give the song oomph or life rather. And the song features MT, who I feel of late, he has been real underperforming, he has been underwhelming, and he hasn't actually stood out on any of the features. He hasn't had any memorable features. And again, on this song, there wasn't anything to take away from because And unless you actually want to know what the song is about, the song was actually about someone trying to impersonate someone, basically. And MT didn't even try to change the dynamic of the song. I didn't try to. I don't know, man. Yeah, it's just been even Loli Native on this song. They were just they were not necessary, to be quite frank. And EPC has a Maskandi influence, and Sjava here talks about girls. Those who've married for money and how unhappy they are in their relations. And he also thanks his girl, for just being patient as he tries to go out there and actually try to change their situation at home, because he's actually doing this for them, his family and his girl, and he just thanks her for her patience, because she's always had the choice to leave him for a better man who has more money and more resources. Drums on the Dulu beat are like a heartbeat of some sort, with a subtle use of piano keys that sound organized as he approaches this beautiful girl in hopes of asking her out, and drastically mentions that he would like to marry her one day. So I think it's one of those situations of expressing your love at first sight, basically. And the African trap movement again is represented by Saudi and Sjava on the song Ongavumi, and essentially telling people to fight for whatever they believe in, like essentially their dreams as well. And Saudi and some for the great words standing on the song, they took nothing from the song. Instead, they added a spark for the song, and within the song that was actually needed. Speaking of sparks, we actually learn about the people who brighten up Java's life, and those people being his ancestors. And the song Amaketla has these looped sounding of birds that make the song whatever it is. And the Q twins are also involved on Isoga, which carries out this wedding vibe, and through the use obviously of the Afrobeats vibe and feel. And it sounds like a wedding song essentially. This is a song that you would play at a wedding when people are just, feeling a bit, in the mood to just celebrate love, and the focused use of synths on amanxeba behind the bass drums give hints of the stylistic elements that fuel gas into the percussions, allowing us to focus on him as he reflects about the times he had to obviously tend the wounds from the people that hurt him. Agabuye has a flat out great trap beat, and he sings about this girl that has to come back home because she finds herself in a very very abusive relationship, and the song is real because in South Africa we have a lot of women who have fallen victim to their abusive counterparts, and Mzugulu also in this song is very brilliant, and I think at the same time is amazing. The decision to feature Shui was quite surprising on the song Ituna, because you would assume that this guy is enjoying his retirement and it hasn't been a part of the fold in a really long time. And of course, he's a Maskandi legend. So he also came through on this song with ad libs, on this fast-paced beat that I didn't actually expect him to ride, but he actually was exceptional. And I think the decision to just have him as a part of the song was just great. The album is summed up with peace, and the context lets us know that we have reached the end of the album and our bundles for this album have depleted. And there is a full sounding instrumentation that makes it sound like a live band was involved. And I think credit has to go to Ruff because of what he did on the production as far as this album is concerned, because I think most of the time producers don't actually get credit, not that they should, but I think his work here was just commendable, because I think this body sounds really solid as far as maybe the production is concerned. The misses for me in this album were MT as well as Lowly Native. They had poor verses, and I think it had to be said because they were just awful. But at least that's my opinion. It doesn't have to matter. I always reiterate the fact that my opinion doesn't matter on anything. And My Life is the worst song on this album. I don't like it. I think the album was also too bloated. It was too long. This is not an album you can just listen to in one sitting. So I think this is an album that you can just. It's definitely not a no skips album. It's an album that you listen to whenever you want to find something to help you heal. There's specific songs for specific situations, but it's definitely not a song or an album that you can just listen from 1 to 18. It's too long. It's too long. I think the hits for me, well, obviously his introspective bag, because I think tapping into different bags when telling stories is really amazing, because you are able to cover the narration of, or the narratives of different people at the very same time, and just help them relate, and they can also feel like you are in their specific shoes. And I think the structure of it was also important, because this album sounds exceptionally good and sound at the same time. And Amavaga for me is the best song. So I think this album holistically deserves a 8, 8 out of 10. But I'm just gonna give it an 8 out of 10. And I think Saudi was also the star of the show, because Saudi has been silent for a really long time, but it's also interesting to have him back into the fold and just shine on Sjava's album. Yeah, post in the diary room, signing out. You know what to do. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, engage with the content, do whatever is necessary to engage with the content. And definitely, I will see you on the next one.